6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Muted again. I love it when my computer does this to me. Caught it early for a change, though. Welcome back to Through Black and White Eyes for this special show, transfer special. It's nearly January, isn't it? So we've got to do one. We're going to have a realistic conversation around all the rumours. We've got a little bit of information to tell you. So obviously, again, it might be wrong, it might be right, but hey, I'm never right, am I? So it makes no difference. Let's get everything sorted before we get into the show. There's the link if you would like to become a member tonight. Members are everything to us. 99p. We get to give you amazing prizes. That's what we're trying to do. And as Lee says, who's modding tonight. Good evening, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Consider becoming a member for just 99p. A link in the bottom right-hand corner if you would like to donate tonight if you want to. Evening, everyone. Lee, evening everyone and all, evening Daniel, evening all. Great background, thanks Tom. Stole it off someone, don't know who, but evening Vaslad, evening Gareth, hope you're well, and Gary, hope you're well as well. Right, let's bring the guests in and let's have a grown-up conversation. Let's bring in Gary first. How are you doing, Gary?
To be honest, I've just come on and I look like I've spent an evening at the Vermont Hotel and I look dreadful. Honestly, I've just came on. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? But
that's what happens when you go all night, mate. You could suffer the next day.
I tell you what, I can't play football because of it. I really can.
I love it. Let's bring Philip in. How's Philip?
Good evening, everyone. And Gary, I have to say, your timing and delivery with these jokes is incredible. That's
I know.
Evening chat. Great to thank you guys for taking me back. And Baz, evening to you, sir.
Evening. Do you have a good Christmas, mate?
I have. Very, very good. Very good.
I love it. Amazing. Right, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Please go over to Toon Tactics TV and join his channel as well and watch his videos. I'll be appearing in one of them very soon, talking a load of crap, as I always do. Don't forget about our amazing sponsors, Diet Crow. 20% off for all our members. They've got some amazing clobber to sell. Everyone across the world can buy it. They're absolutely amazing. And they give a $40 gift card almost once a month as a prize as well, which is superb. And we're still waiting for the prize winner from last month to come forward. Drag through a bush backwards, Gary, lad. I love it. Hi, Gary and Philip. It's like he's just got himself out the shower and just, knackered. Right, we are here to have a serious conversation about what we should do going forward. Remember to switch to the last minute, Gary. All right. This hotel stuff. 5 members of players caught with high-end escorts. I'm not being funny, right? But in what right mind would 5 high-profile footballers do at a hotel with that sort of thing and think they're going to get away with it? It's a load of bollocks. It really is, because there's no way they would do that. But we've been told, Gary, in our group what has actually been going on. And if it's true, it could be true. And it's not as big of a deal as everyone thinks it is. The first one is Trippier is in a bit of trouble with his missus, but we don't know why. And the second one is Isak used the club's taxi account to get a bird home before training. So Isak's been on the nest, but he's not married. He doesn't have any kids. He can do what he wants. But the fact that he used the club's account to get this bird home is what is, kind of like bit of a no-no, I suppose. But apparently that's it. There's no hotels. There's no 5 major players. doing all this, spending money on all this sort of stuff. So that's
sounds like a gentleman to me. I'm like,
it does, doesn't it? Got a home.
Just got a home, you know.
Yeah, got a home anywhere
It's
possible.
like Neville and now Feeder's imperative.
Yeah. I remember that episode.
You remember that episode?
I do remember it. Biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard. Exactly. I mean, Philip, what's your thoughts on it all? Obviously,
Yeah,
I know
my first
Gary's
thing was
already.
in terms of the timing of it. Like I said, I thought to myself, you're 5 players in that kind of situation. That's incredible. That's insane. And I was more thinking about, okay, I think it's 99% untrue on, I think, but why release it now? Who's released it? What's behind it? Do you know what I mean? That was my main thing. Or is it just someone sending it off? I don't know.
I love it. I can confirm that Isaac sent me home in a taxi. I love it. Isaac deserves a pat on the back for that, not a rinsing. I personally agree, to be fair.
Worse things, I think.
Yeah. He could have got a normal taxi and it would have been
his own money. I'm sure
straight in the news, wouldn't it?
I'm sure he's getting... No? Like...
Oh, God. And Lee uses the rumour as team bonding.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, Harry, I hope you're all right, mate. Thanks for joining. Right. I've got a picture to put up and I haven't bloody loaded it in yet, have I? I got caught watching Corrie a bit too late, and I forgot to put the picture in that I wanted to put in because we need to have a serious conversation around our squad. If anyone wants to know what's going on in Corrie, there's a cerebral palsy guy turned up who's a long, long lost cousin of Carla, and he's a bit of a geek, and that's about as much as I know on it. But there you go. I need to put that in. I need to put that in. Here they come. Right, the pictures are coming, guys. So we're going to talk about the squad team bonding. Oh man, wasn't Dele Alli caught with one in a hotel when he was younger with another guy filming it?
Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood with England on England.
Them as well. Yeah, that was an England one.
Serious.
That was because one of them was married, wasn't he?
Foden. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is Foden married?
Yeah. I'm sure he is. He's got a kid with his partner, yeah. Guys, don't forget about Benfield. I haven't really put them up much recently, which I'm really sorry about. They are a great non-league football club. They're playing Sunderland RCA. It's the reverse fixture. They absolutely tonked them. I think it was 7-1 away from home the first time they played them with some great goals scored. So on the 30th of December, it's a 3 p.m. kickoff. Get yourself down there and watch some great non-league football and cheer on a North East team taking on the enemy. And we hope they do really well, which I'm sure they will. You probably sent her to Tripp's house by accident. Oh, God.
Did anybody notice that Nick Pope was one of the names mentioned, which made me laugh? How the hell was he going to do that with a dislocated friggin' shoulder from an operation?
I'm guessing he won't be doing much of the work.
Well, clearly not. I mean, it was the names of the players they put out that I thought, oh, give away. You could have come up with better names than that. Like,
well, exactly.
It was just,
I never saw any names. I just heard 5 first-team players were involved, and then you start reeling off the first-team players who've just had kids and married and all this sort of stuff. It's stupid. We've had rumours like this for a long time, as I remember, and it's a long time. Yeah, there have been. I mean, we always find a way of putting ourselves in the spotlight, don't we? If we're not fighting on the pitch, if we're not sacking managers left, right, and centre, if we don't have a chairman who's been secretly recorded saying that everyone in the North East are fat slags, it's something else, isn't it? It always happens. There's always something in the news.
Dyer, you name it. Constantly something.
Oh, Dyer was terrible. Right, here's our squad. I might have missed out a couple of players, but this is the bulk of the squad that we have, and we need to start thinking about chopping and changing in areas.
Who's Batman?
Batman, where's Batman?
Batman. Damn it.
Yeah, Batman.
Batman. No, it does say Batman.
I know it does. He's Batman. So we got Pope, Dubs, Karius, our 3 goalkeepers. Obviously, Gillespie is another one that's there. Obviously, at the back line, you've got Batman and Shaw, and then Dummett, Lascelles as potential cover. The left-hand side, you've got Hall, Target, Byrne, but you can also throw Lewis in there, who still hasn't left the squad, but he's not in the squad. You've got Trips, Kraft, and Tino on the other side. You've got Bruno, Tonali, Miley, Longstaff, Anderson, Joe Linton. I wish I'd missed out the end on that one. Willock, Ritchie. You've got Miggy Murphy, top right. You've got Gordon Bonds, top left, and then you've got Wilson and Isak up front. Now, we always said we need 2 for each position. Now, at the moment, I'm looking at that squad, and there's only really 4 areas where we have 2 for each position for me, which is Bruno Tonali, Joe Linton, Willock, Gordon Barnes, Wilson and Isak. They're the only 4 positions where we can say to ourselves, seriously, we have cracking, substitutes to come on at that, or, squad depth, as we like to call it. They're the only 4 positions for me. Would you guys agree with that?
For me, I think it's difficult because obviously we're coming into for the winter transfer, right? For this transfer coming up. So I don't think you want to play Miley too much. He's still 17 years old. I know that Tonali long term is coming back after 10 months. But I don't even know if Bruno's gonna be here after the summer, to be honest with you. And there's nobody else in our squad that does what he does as well in terms of his being back to goal. So for me, that's a position that we definitely need to fix and definitely need to improve. And that'll be a priority position for me. And the priority position for this coming up transfer window will probably be the goalkeeper one as well. So for me, it's number 6 on the goalkeeper spot, to be honest.
Yeah. But we can say right now, looking on paper, there's only 4 areas where we have potential 1 in each position, like a spare in each position. At left back, we don't have quality. Centre backs, we don't have quality backup. Right back, that's probably the other position I missed out with Trips and Tino. So maybe we have 5. But the right side of midfield with Longstaff and Anderson, I mean, you could put Miley in that situation. But again, it's not world class, is it? Miggy and Murphy, it's not world class on that right-hand side. So this is the one thing I'm really worried about, Gary, is when we look at this squad, who are we selling? Because I have heard absolutely no rumours at all of players leaving in January window. Not one player.
Yeah, because nobody wants them. It's the problem with, I mean, I tell you what, you haven't helped me at all putting that, because I've just realised who are some of them squad players are. No wonder some of these players are struggling with fitness, man. With it, well, we knew it was coming, right? But I've said it time and again, this summer coming up is the summer where, for me, we've got to get rid of likes of the Richies and Targets and Dummets and people like that. I think it's time for them to go, because it's all well and good being good for a dressing room, but it does the players no good whatsoever who are on the pitch, who need a break. And looking at that team right now, we've got cover at right back. I actually like Kraft. I think he's all right. So for me,
you got Trips, Kraft, and Tino, haven't you? It's plenty of cover there.
That's fine by me. Centre back's still light. It was at the start of the season, and it still is now. Left back, God, yeah, that scares us. But Tino can go over there, Trips can go over there, so it's not the end of the world with that one. Midfield, you're right, Longstaff and Anderson on that side, but you can move things around a bit. But there's still something missing. But it's the forward. When I look at the right wing and all, the right wing seriously lacking something. Quality for me, like top class quality. Strikers, I still think we need 3 strikers, because them 2 are too injury prone. Gordon and Barnes I like, but we've never seen Barnes since Sheffield United, so God knows when he's coming back. It is a threadbare squad, and didn't get started on the goalkeepers. I mean, honestly, you know what it is? I take it all back when I was having a go at Nick Pope. Oh my God, I take it back now. I really do. I apologise to that man, because I don't care. Just go another 2 years with him not being able to kick a ball. I can't put up with Dubravka and the rest of them again, because look, it hasn't been all Dubravka's fault, right?
No.
But it's no coincidence to me that we're letting goals in left, right, and centre, because the defence don't seem to be very confident in him keeping the ball out the net. And I'll tell you what, it's come to the stage now where it's not a rebuild, but it's it's time to get rid of squad players and improve them with players who can come in and do a job. But that doesn't happen overnight either. And you've got to, you know what it is? I cannot see any of them leaving in January. I can see them going in the summer, but
I think from last time I saw on transfer.com, at least 4 or 5 of them are on their final year. So this coming summer, 5 of them are gone anyway. I'll be dumbfounded if any of their contracts get renewed. I think also, you know, when I compared, for instance, I always compare our squad to Man City's, for instance, because that's where we want to be. And because I've always heard Man City fans saying people think that we have 2 people for every position. We don't. We have a maximum of 17, 18 really good players. I think even Guardiola said that he doesn't want 25 players. He wants to keep the squad as small as he possibly can, so he can obviously keep it managed, obviously keeping players happy, but also keep it managed. So really, you're not necessarily looking for a player for like a specific player for a specialized position for each a specialized person for each position necessarily, but you're looking for a squad of 17 to 18, at least 3 or 4 or 5 of those who are who can do more than one position. Hence, they did buy Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall can go left back, left midfield, and DM, for instance. And so, I think obviously looking at this, I think the only positions we currently have with decent quality is obviously, like you said, Gary up front, number 9, Wilson Isak, Gordon Barnes, then on the left wing and left midfield of Joe Linton and Willock. If you look at it as if we keep Bruno, then you probably have Bruno Tonali. But I think Tonali is more seen as a right midfield player. I think Anderson's left midfield and left wing. So really, it's right midfield and right wing that we really need an upgrade in those starts. So the areas that we really have decently covered to a decent extent is the left side and number 9. So Wilson, Gordon, and Joe Linton, that side. The rest of it is needs a lot more cover, or needs a lot more in terms of upgrades. I definitely agree with that, I think.
I mean, looking at it as well, the quality in the middle is quite good, but none of them is a natural 6. None of them. And
no.
How many is it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 of them, apart from Richie, all the rest of them are good players, right? Some are top players, some are, wouldn't say like not average, I'd say good players, some are very good players. But none of them can do the 6 job, out all of them.
But the thing is, you say that, we never had a 6 last season. We haven't had a 6 all the way through this season. We've beaten the likes of Chelsea at home, Man United at home, Arsenal at home, without a 6. Because the 3 of them in midfield are meant to all cover each other at certain times. They know their game inside and out. But the problem we've had is that they're not fit enough due to fatigue. And obviously Miley's stepping in, who's still learning how to play in the first team. So it now looks more glaringly that we need a 6 because they're not doing the job that they were doing last season and the beginning of the season, because they just haven't got the legs to do it like they've had in the past. You know, if we had all the players fit and they were running, they weren't being run into the ground, would we be having a conversation saying we need a 6?
Yeah. Well, go on. Man.
No, I was going to say, and you need structure. You can have Rodri in the middle, but if you don't keep the structure, like we didn't do against Nottingham Forest, you can have Rodri in the middle of that park. You're still not gonna, they're still gonna run through you. And I think you're right, Baz, in terms of how we kept the structure in the middle. It was that 3 in the middle that that really helped us to build a platform. So Longstaff is mainly the guy who would be in the middle in terms of protecting Bruno. Obviously, Bruno picks up the ball and drives a bit and goes up, but Longstaff would ordinarily drop in and cover that. So we play with CMs. Like you said, we don't play with a natural 6. We play with just all 3 of them are CMs, and they kind of float and rotate between each other. It looks good when everybody's at 1, especially when they keep their lines, but it looks horrible. It looks Nottingham Forest style when they don't do that. And you just get people running through our midfield. You can forget Liverpool. Nottingham Forest can do that. So it's getting that balance right again. I think there's almost like a 6. So Chelsea have got a 6. They got Casado, 120 million pound six, but their midfield has no balance and no structure. It looks horrible. So it's just us getting back to it. I definitely think we need an upgrade in terms of if we get our structure on. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later. But if we get the structure back to what it was, it will look a lot better. I think so.
Well, this is it. I mean, if they're 100% fit and you've got players on the bench to rotate, which we would have had if Tonali was, available. That's a massive, massive blow for us, and we all know it.
Yeah.
The whole team, the Champions League campaign, and everything was all structured around Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, and Willock.
Yeah.
We've also lost Willock due to injury. We lost Sean Longstaff due to injury at certain points of the season.
Yeah.
We've never had 4 to 5 to 6 players in those positions like we should have, because you look at all those players there, there's 8 to 9 players who can play in midfield in that area.
Yeah.
But we've never had that. So we're literally running ourselves into the ground, which last season, playing a game every week, we didn't. And that's why we were fit. That's why we ran teams into the ground. And that's why we overpowered them at times.
Exactly. And even going back to Nottingham Forest game, Sean Longstaff played in left midfield rather than a right midfield.
Yes, and that's because Miley, wasn't it?
Because of Miley. And he looked totally out at sea. I'm not going to start on Shaw because that'll be a program in itself, what he was doing in that game. But if it does it when it's in rhythm and it's tandem, like you said, Baz, we look unstoppable. We end up mauling teams. But when you got a couple of changes here and there, it looks absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Our strategy is not built on technical ability. I mean, Bruno's technical ability is fantastic. Joelinton's technical ability is fantastic. They don't just out-muscle and run players. We actually outpass them at times as well. There are some players you could say that, like a Lascelles isn't technically brilliant. Miggy's not technically brilliant. He ran. They don't. I think they had a brilliant balance, is what I'm trying to say. They had players who were technically gifted, like Isak, but they also had players who weren't technically gifted but would run through a brick wall for you, like Sean Longstaff, like Miggy. Gordon as well sometimes doesn't look technically gifted, but he's one of the fastest players in the league. He runs his heart out and he knows how to finish when he gets into the area.
I think it's I think it's a bit of both. I think we need technical ability and running, because if you just have running and you have no technical ability, you get what happens against Nottingham Forest. You just get people going all over the place. But we are obviously built on intensity and being able to press as one unit. And you need the likes of Bruno. I think Fulham was a better example of when we all work together as one unit and just overpower and take over a team. And then you get the technical guys like Bruno and that really stepping up, beginning to dictate the play, because our physicality essentially took over. That's how it should work. It's supposed to work like that against Luton and against Forest. So I think you need a bit of both, really.
I agree with that. Right. So no one's leaving. So that means if we do sign anyone, I think 2 to 3 players is definitely needed, whether that's loans or purchases. Gary, you mentioned something in the chat group about the press hammering home this FFP story. You messaged a few of the people who come back saying that maybe the club are actually asking them to hammer that so that the Newcastle tax disappears.
Yeah, I heard that at the beginning of the takeover, that basically the plan was the new Newcastle suddenly had massively rich owners and clubs were going to try and take the piss, basically. So they're going to play the FFP card regular. Now, there's nobody better than Luke Edwards, because 1 minute Luke Edwards will tell you we've got now to spend, and then probably 2 hours later he's putting an article out saying now we'll find out how much back in he's going to get and stuff like that. And it's like he's like contradicting himself every time. And look, we're not going to go out and sign an Osman, right? That's way out of whatever. But I watched an interview with Jamie Rubin, and he says every window we put money aside for Eddie Howe. Right, so all this nonsense about the owners not planning for January just in case they hadn't in is absolute rubbish. Right, they're not Mike Ashley. These right? They're switched on. They've got a plan, right? And one of the plans would have been, so I don't believe that basically, oh, we're going to have to take some money out of budget for the summer to go to January. It's absolute rubbish. They've already planned on, this is what they do. And I did say it's a good job we didn't have so many sponsors recently at Champions League football, because we'd be seriously in the ship FFP if we were. Because it's ridiculous the way they go on. And within 2 seconds of the window starting, we've got no money to spend. We've got FFP problems. And, oh, yeah, we'll go. Look, these owners are not going to let we're getting the shit with FFP. Plain and simple, right?
No, definitely not.
But they've got a plan. And every month, every window, they put this plan. I don't know how much there is to spend, but there'll be money there.
I mean, there was rumours of 50 million budget. I mean, I don't think that would be right. 50 million is not enough. Unless that's just 50 million purely on transfers, potentially with 5-year contracts. So maybe we've got, if we sign 5 players for 50 million each, it's 10 million a season. Works up to 50 million this year. We don't know, do we?
Yeah, exactly. And what is a budget? I mean, 50 million could be for startup. Not say there is a player that's worth overall 60 million, but the upfront cost might be 20, 30 million. So they're just kind of for that particular period in the summer, you pay the rest of it off. So what is a budget? I think that's probably a fluid thing, if anything. And I've looked at the other clubs in terms of every other club, Liverpool, Arsenal, have all sounded off. We've got no money. I mean, we're already hearing, we're not going to pay for Arsenal saying we're not paying for Ivan Toney. We've got the money for Ivan Toney. We're because exactly. So the day a club comes out and says, "Oh, we got 200 million to spend, we're ready for it." Watch the prices hike up, and nobody it's a standard procedure. I think every agent and every potential selling club knows that Newcastle need players. They definitely need a 6. They probably next would be a goalkeeper or someone up front, depending who you want, whatever your priority position is. And then that's when the brokering begins to start. That's how we're getting this whole thing with Calvin Phillips going on and stuff like that. And I'm sure we're going to speak about it later. I think there's a bit of brokering going on. I think Man City ideally would like to get him sold permanently and get some money back for him, rather than doing Newcastle not a favor, as it were, but Newcastle get the better deal if they get him on loan. So all of it's happened. The brinksmanship has already started, essentially. That's what I think. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that. And you'll know Mancunian way. He's a great lad. He knows everything about Man City. He's got people he knows. He told me ages ago, when all this rumours came out that Calvin Phillips is done. No, not even close. He said that Man City want a deal. If it's going to be on loan, there has to be an obligation to buy in the summer. And that doesn't suit Newcastle, potentially. Why do we need it? Why do we need a 6 in the summer when we've got Tonali coming back, and then the squad looks quite healthy in that area again? So we have to make a commitment to him, or we don't commit at all. And 7 million that's being branded around, I think that's 7 million, which also includes his wages. So that is probably 5 million upfront fee, 2 million in wages potentially. So when you put it that way, it's not as bad as what it sounds. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think if you're Man City, you don't want to be look as if you're getting your pants pulled down. You want to say, look, we've got them for 7.5 million. I almost respect. I remember when I said that's better than 12 million for Lingard. I tell you that. It's better, I'll pay it. So, nobody wants to look like they're getting their pants pulled down, or they're looking desperate to sell players. So you're going to pump it up a little bit and say, look, this is how much they're paying, this, that, and the other.
I think what City have made the mistake, Gary, is that they've actually come out and said we won't stop him from moving. So that means he's definitely leaving. Well,
right. If Eddie's decided that Calvin Phillips is the player he wants, right, then just say, how much do you think he's worth?
I mean, if we're buying him straight out right now, I would say between 40, 50 million.
Right, 40, 50 million, right? So 5-year contract?
So roughly,
that would be 5-year contract?
It's 27, 28 probably.
Yeah. Right, so you stagger the payments, which Man City will be happy with, right? What is the point in paying a £7.5 million loan fee?
I think the loan
when
fee
you can stagger it
would be taken out of the full fee.
I think
You know what I mean?
I've got a feeling the problem with Phillips is maybe they're not 100% sure whether he's the answer to what they need.
Who, Man
I
City?
think they're interested. No, us.
I think
I'm
for
not
us,
sure we're 100%. I'm not 100% sure we're convinced he's. Well, put it this way: if we start next season, just forget about Tonali's ban. Does Phillips start the season if
I
we've
think-
got a fully fit squad?
Yeah, I think remember because there's a triangle: Eddie Howe, Steve Nixon, and Dan Ashworth. Because I keep on hearing from various people, like whenever you listen to for shows, that they're not always in agreement with each other, which is good, which is healthy,
well, yeah.
which is healthy tensions. For instance, Bruno wasn't, Eddie Howe didn't initially want Bruno. God help us. I don't know if you remember when we were gonna go. Was it last season? We're gonna go with Wilson. They were saying to Howe, let's get Isak. Nah, he'll be fine. And look, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but had Wilson not pulled a hamstring, we'll be kicking off things without Isak and just Wilson up front for us. So that was so there is a bit of it's healthy tensions. I accept it, but I think from what I'm hearing, Steve Nixon and Dan Ashworth have different ideas. Ashworth are looking at other players a little bit more continental, and I think that's where the tension is coming around, a bit of coming from at the moment. So. Yeah, I don't think he's a permanent sign. I think Eddie Howe would want him possibly permanently, but I think Steve Nixon, no. There's we've got a couple guys that are a little bit better than that. So that's my thoughts on it.
Well,
we've heard that as well, haven't we, Gary?
Oh, I heard something very similar. Basically, Ashworth and Eddie have got different opinions on footballers, right? Now, which is fine. Right, everybody's got different opinions. I think some players are crap. Some players people think it's good. Right. One player I heard from West Ham fans was Eddie wanted Harvey Barnes. We wanted Ashworth wanted Kudus. Right.
Please don't
now. Now West Ham fans were absolutely convinced they were scared of losing out on Kudus because we had Champions League football. Newcastle got the go ahead for Barnes, but Ashworth wanted Kudus. Right now,
you got the better
signed
deal.
Barnes for 38 million, 40 million. Kudus went for roughly the same price because Premier League players are overinflated. Ashworth reckons we can get better deals abroad than we can in the Premier League. But Eddie likes Premier League experience, and that's the problem. And this is the issue we've got. And I'm 50-50 with it because I think there's massive potential abroad that we can go and get for cheaper than what it would cost to buy, for example, Dominic Solanke for £45 million, which was rumoured today. Good player, but he's not £45 million. No. Sorry. And that's what we heard, didn't we? It was,
that's what we definitely heard, unfortunately, because Kudus was someone we were talked about a lot, and he's quality. Very quickly before you jump in, Philip, just want to jump in the chat and say, thanks, Tony, for that super sticker. That's absolutely amazing. Go on, Philip.
No, I was going to say, and to this point, I mean, up to this point at least, Howe is overall been correct. I mean, he hasn't done too badly with the guys that he's got.
No, he hasn't. He's done all right.
He hasn't. But now now especially with the latest results, I wonder how much influence is going to be in the when the three of them come to the book, because essentially whoever stamps the figure up is going to have to say to themselves, are we going to go with Howe or we're going to go with Dan on this? And so I wonder if the latest results, people are looking at it thinking, maybe we should listen to Dan. Maybe we should listen to Steve. Maybe rather than Phillips, we get, I don't know, Fofana, for instance, from Monaco, which is one of the people I heard about. So it's going to be I'm intrigued to see how this transfer window ends up. And there's an element of stubbornness you got to have to be a decent leader, but then there's also got to be wisdom and saying to yourself,
yes,
all right,
I made an error.
I made an error, or I'm going to give in to this. Maybe he did that. Maybe he did that on Isak. He did that on Bruno, if it's true what we're thinking. So there is adaptability within how to do that. So it's going to be very interesting how this works out.
From what we've heard, they have agreed on transfers before. I heard that Anthony Gordon was decided by both. They both
Yeah.
wanted Anthony Gordon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they do agree at times, but they're disagreeing at other times. And
Would-
it's
But it's like we've all said, it is good to have that sort of little rift. It's not a massive rift as long as they still get on and they still shake hands and they say, right, you know, they can go into a meeting and say, right, you wanted him, look at how good he's doing down the road at West Ham. Did we get that decision wrong? Should we be a bit more savvy in our conversations? Should we be listening a little bit more to what's happening behind the scenes? The one thing I said a couple of shows ago was, should the backroom staff or the owners say to Eddie Howe, you concentrate on coaching the team, picking the team, winning football matches. We put 100% trust in Ashworth and the team of scouts and everyone to get it right for you in the background, for you to then get these players and train them and do what we need to do on the pitch. Should Eddie Howe have no say in it at all? Which I think was what happened at Brighton. I don't think Potter had any say in any of the
Chelsea.
deals. Chelsea. And look at how good the deals were at Brighton. Look at the structure that they put in place. Should the owners look at that and say, right, this is why we brought this man in. This is why we brought Ashworth in to control all that. Now get Eddie to do what he does best, and that is win football matches.
I do think it's a bit of apples and oranges of Brighton and us, because Brighton had an established system before Graham Potter came in. Obviously, our owners came in with very limited football knowledge and experience. And obviously, Eddie Howe came in. We got Eddie Howe before we got Ashworth and everybody else. The ideal situation is, I think they were hoping, was that Steve Bruce would at least maintain a decent performance, and then we can clear things out in the summer, get the sporting director in, and then, however, he was nosediving. So Ashworth, Eddie Howe comes in. He's one of our football brains behind it, and he's saying, get Dan Burn, get this, get Trippier, get that. So essentially, the team or the foundations of the team are built in Howe's image. So it's very difficult to then say to him, no, you have no more say anymore. And especially when, you know, like I said, I think probably at least 70-80% of the signings, 90% of the signings have been all right. So it's difficult. Whereas Brighton have an established system of playing. Whether Graham Potter leaves, De Zerbi comes in, whether, you know, they sell Casado, they got another young man over there that's in there doing it. It's a well-oiled
But that's
machine.
what we want to get to, though, isn't it? That's
exactly
what we want to actually
After
be.
Howe,
so it's easy to say Dan Burn, because Dan Burn's a local lad and he played at Brighton. That's an easy one for Ashworth to give the go-ahead. It was easy to sign Nick Pope because he was an England goalkeeper. It's easy to sign Trippier because he was 15 million and he's one of the best right-backs in the world. No one's going to have arguments against those signings. But now looking at it, the stuff we heard with Kudus, Paqueta, Bruno, Howe is saying no to a lot of foreign players who are playing abroad because they haven't got the Premier League experience. And that could become a problem, because the work that Ashworth and his team do, they do it abroad, really. There's only really Ferguson who's come through at Brighton who's English. All the rest of them, Mimitoma, for example, Pascal Grope, all them lot are all foreign players. And that's where I think there's going to be clashes, in where if we're going to become the team that we want to be and the squad that we want to be, we need to trust these guys in the background more to do the deals that we need, because they're going to be cheaper. Do you see what I mean? That's my problem with it.
Well, how many times did we hear that Paqueta was coming?
Yeah.
Like, but then we were told Newcastle pulled out because Eddie wanted Maddison, but we never got Maddison.
Never got Maddison either.
It was like, but Eddie didn't want Paqueta, right? And it was like,
look how well. I mean, he took a while to settle in, but look how good he is now.
Incredible.
You've got to take abroad. When you go abroad, you've got to take a bit of a gamble. Now, trust Dan Ashworth to go out. He's done it time and again. Trust Ashworth to go out and find somebody who's going to come in and fit the role. You know, Paqueta would fit in our team like a jigsaw piece, right?
Definitely.
Because he's a hard-working, brilliant footballer.
I didn't think he was that committed and hard working until this season. I think he's been brilliant.
I mean, look, I'm not having to go here, right? Because I've got me Bruno mug here, right? But I heard of Leon fans that Paqueta was the better out the two players. Paqueta's the better player. Now, last season, he certainly wasn't. He wasn't.
Yeah.
This season, you could argue,
Yeah.
Paqueta's playing better than Bruno at the moment. Right?
Yeah,
Now, but this is coming from Leon fans. They said we've got the wrong one. Now, I'm not having to go with Bruno. I love Bruno. But, I mean, Paqueta and Bruno now, it's just, them two would have known everything about each other's game.
Yeah,
And it would have
exactly.
been an absolute pleasure and joy to watch at times.
Yeah.
And, but,
Do
I
you
don't
think?
know.
Do you guys think though? Because to be fair to Hal, I'm not going to revise history. We've got currently 10 players out. We've had obviously top point. We've had 13, 14 players. It's extraordinary amount of players. Up to the Dortmund game, I think the first Dortmund game week 9, we were number 1 at the table for the most informed team. We'd already played 2 or 3 Champions League games, League Cup games, and we were smashing teams. We smashed PSG 4-1. It was looking lovely when the injuries weren't going there. Had, like, for instance, the injuries maintained as they were then, for instance, I think would be a lot more high up the league.
Oh, of course we will.
I say all that to say this because wouldn't then Eddie Howe's, or at least we're assuming Eddie Howe, decision making around transfers be more justified had the injuries not been as bad now? So if Harvey Barnes maintained wasn't ill, had Tonali not been betting, that would have been nice. You know, all those type of things, we would have. That's just, I
completely agree with you, and I don't think we're criticizing Eddie Howe's ability to find a good player, because he's finding good English players, which we like, but they cost more.
Flexibility. You want a bit more flexibility.
It's the flexibility. I mean, we've got to, I just think sometimes he's too stubborn on English players over foreign players, and I just think that's the little tweak that we need to make sure that we don't miss out on a Kudus again or a Paqueta again. You know, a player like that who tearing it up, really, both of them.
Sorry, there's a comment that's basically on about Paqueta costing a lot of money. This was before he signed for West Ham.
Yeah, this is before he signed for West Ham.
So this was when Paqueta cost about 40 odd million. We're not interested now. We're going
West Ham.
way past it now. Look, there's another name. I've heard this name mentioned a couple of times that Eddie didn't want. Now, could be bollocks. Grimaldo is another one I've heard. Right? Now, I mean, Grimaldo at the minute looks absolutely top class, but I don't know. It's just names getting thrown out that you just don't know.
But Eddie was the driving force for Tonali, so that kind of throws out the window a little bit about the foreign players.
Exactly. Eddie's got some I mean, I'm telling you now, Tino Livramento was Eddie Howe's idea. Right? That, no doubt. Now, my God, what a player. Tino's literally one of my top 5 favourite players at the minute. So Nick Pope would have been Eddie Howe's idea. Fantastic, right?
I think Ashworth as well, I think, would see that because of his England set-up days and everything that he saw behind the scenes.
I just think when it comes to going abroad, Eddie needs to make a bit more of a gamble when it comes to abroad, because there is talent out there. And
there is, definitely.
And we've got a few of them. So
let's jump in the chat. Thank you so much, Mark. You really didn't have to do that, but thank you so much. He says that the way we play, 6 isn't the same as others, to be honest. So don't look at Calvin and us. Maybe Leeds, top lad, but given game time, he will do well. We always said he wasn't going straight on a loan fee. Well, exactly. My preference would be European and beyond. We have a good number of British players, more value for money out there. True. Solanke is a weird one. We're going to come to some transfers soon. I just want to try and oh my God, there's so many comments, and I've kind of got Magnums are getting beat. It's always nice to see, especially Rotherham, who are like second bottom of the league or bottom of their league. Kalu is someone who doesn't seem to be flourishing, unfortunately, but Matete is someone who you could fit into that right-hand side and could save us a lot of money if he can bring that Feyenoord form home. He's a very good one.
He looks hungry.
He's being called up for the national team.
Yeah.
Has he?
He looks hungry.
There you go.
There's something. He's a talented lad. Him. I saw
definitely.
One of the comments there say, "We're going on about Solanke, aren't we?"
Yeah, I'm going to say we're going to start speaking about some stuff. There's something that's broken the Italian league. I don't know if you've read this or not, but the Decreto Carestia was agreement between the government and Italian leagues is going to end this season, I think, at the end of the season, where they get tax breaks for players and wages. That is huge news, because that deal that they had with the government allowed them to sign massive players like Pogba, Di Maria, Mourinho, Lukaku, Conte, all those managers and players were able to be signed because they had a tax relief. Now that tax relief disappearing is now going to put strain on the Italian league again. Now, could that be interesting for us when they've got the likes of Leo, Hernandez?
I don't rate
There's,
him.
there's been an interesting one. Apparently, Milan are at the minute talking to a left back, AC Milan. So that might be interesting for Theo in the summer. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get him, but he could be somebody on the move in the summer.
I can see
Leo,
a lot of Italian teams selling some big assets to try and balance books now and get big wages off their books because they're not going to get the tax reliefs that they used to, and that's going to put strain on their clubs. So we'll look at the Italian league, thinking about where we need to strengthen. Realistically, who do you think, Gary, we could sign potentially from the Italian leagues? I mean, I reckon big players could come as well because of the demand of wages and fees we can probably pay.
There's one person who's come to my mind because I've seen him play. I love Theo Hernandez, but I'm not going to mention him. And you know what it is? He's got that also attitude about him, and he would fit in our side straight away, and that's Milan's goalkeeper. The guy. I would potentially go and sign him. He pulled off some absolute blinding saves against us.
Yeah.
And he commands his area as well. And do you know what it is? He did no but moan and whinge. He would fit in our side straight away. And who else?
Yeah. Inter
I
Milan.
don't know. I haven't heard
players at Inter Milan that you would fancy.
Well,
there was someone that I really fancied. I can't remember who it is now.
You've got Lisandro Martinez up front. I mean, could he do it in the Premiership? Probably. But
they've got that centre back as well, AC Milan. Thao, young man, about 22, 23, looks decent as well. Right centre back, something that we need as well.
Barella.
Really I'm thinking more Tomori maybe from AC Milan as well.
Tomori.
I don't think he's big enough. I don't think he's big enough, strong enough.
I don't think he needs to be. Oh, really? After what he did to us?
No, for set pieces and stuff like that. He's excellent going back and stuff like that. I don't think anyhow. Ideally, you want someone with his ability on the ball and what he does, but to just be a bit bigger and a bit more physical. Ideally, so like I mentioned, Thao from AC Milan.
Do you know?
Along those lines.
Do you know what I would take? You know who I would take right now for the rest of the season? Olivier
Giroud. Berardi? No.
You know Giroud? I would. I tell you what a pain in the arse he was for us.
The Italian league, he was. But what about Berardi? Berardi's been on fire.
He's
Sal Soso. Is that how you pronounce it? He is someone who's been touted quite a lot for a big move.
Yeah,
it's probably true, mate. Martin's asked, we're close to FSR threshold. I think that's to do with wages. Is that right? I could be wrong, but I know we're close to wage. The wages is our problem at the moment, is because we've got too many players on the books. But Berardi is someone who I would be very, very interested in. Obviously, there's Cava. I know that's never going to happen. Thuram's just moved to Inter Milan, so I can't see him moving. We should have got him when he was free, to be fair. But Berardi is the one that really, for a striker, for someone who's different to what we've got, I would go for him. Only one Italian ever won the Prem, Balotelli.
Yeah.
Is that true?
You've missed one, Chiesa.
Yeah, Chiesa as well. Yeah, I mean
we've been linked
fantastic
before.
Player as well. Yeah, we have been linked before.
Had a few injuries, but
ACLs
still. I mean, Livramento's had ACL, so still a cracking footballer.
No, absolutely.
But the problem is, I think he plays on the left, doesn't he? So
he can play across, but left primarily.
Yeah. But he can still tap.
You can move Gordon over, couldn't you?
Look, we need it. I don't know how long Murphy's out for, and I'm not calling Murphy a world beater here, like, but we need a
FSR is
right
new
wing.
FFP.
We need a right wing.
We do. We definitely need an upgrade in that area. Whether that will be January or the summer, I don't know. But I don't think we're close to FFP, Martin, as in FFP for signings. But I think we're close when it comes to wages. The two separately, aren't they? So financial stability rules, I think it stands for. There we go. Replaced old FFP, now includes fees, wages, and agent fees, percentage to income on ratio. Oh, very interesting. I don't know how close we are to it, but it's what always gets banded out there is that we are close to it. But I think it's just us trying to get rid of the Newcastle tax. And like Gary said very early on in the show, with Jamie Rubin, they did say on the podcast, we have got money to spend if we need to. So I think we will spend.
Everybody thought when we got taken over, we were going to go the Man City model, and that was never true. We were going to go the Liverpool way, and the Liverpool Liverpool are brilliant at getting players for good fees, right? I know they paid a lot of money for Van Dijk and people like that, but when you look at Robinson and McAllister and Szoboszlai and Henderson and people like that, and there'll be more out there that they've signed for Salah. Salah cost them 30 million or something, and that's the model we're trying to follow. Of basically what Edwards introduced at Liverpool was basically put bids in for players that we've got no interest in. Keep an eye out on somebody else, but then they'll go, "Oh, will you pay this?" And we're going, "No, we're not paying that." And it makes you look like tough negotiators. And that's the model they're trying to follow. And it's not a bad model to follow because obviously Liverpool have proved that. But you can't go the Man City route at the minute because of FFP.
No one can. No one can ever do that again. It's just it is impossible. Man U could in a way. I suppose they're shite and now they're trying to build back up again. They could literally spend what they want. Chelsea are doing it. There's been a message in the group, Gary, before we go any further.
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't read it. I saw it, but I didn't read it.
Oh God! I mean, like goalkeepers apparently were interested in De Gea, Kasper Schmeichel. Obviously, they're both on a free, aren't they? Because Kasper Schmeichel don't think he even has a club at the moment.
I thought it was at Nice.
Yeah, he was.
He might be, but there you go. He was, yeah, but I don't think it worked out there. Jonathan Tah is defenders, TAH.
Yeah, German League, Bundesliga.
Midfielders, Phillips. Strikers, forwards. This is where it gets a little bit interesting because there's no mention of Solanke in here. But there is Giovanni Simeone, Hugo Ekitike, and that's it. I think Ekitike, people don't like him, and everyone hates it because of what he did. But if Howe liked him and Ashworth liked him, there's not much change for me. He went to his boyhood club, similar profile to Isak. It wouldn't bother me. But outgoings, apparently, Mancua is someone who we will look to try and sell in January if we can find him a club. We're now rich in that areas where we sort of weren't at the start of the season. We're still humming and ahhing, weren't we? Club wanted to sell Matt Targett and Jacob Murphy, but both injuries may prevent it from happening. Players who may lose squad numbers, Richie and Karius, to make spaces for incomings. Hold may be sent back to Chelsea. We are currently in discussions with them. That's the big shock at the bottom of the message.
Yeah.
I think we're going to regret that one, man. I really do.
It depends on what they've seen. Because if he's not a left back. I know people. He's not a left back, and I don't think so. And
I don't think so either.
We're pretty stocked in the left midfield area and left wing area, and so and I think with the kind of the volume of injuries we've had and what we need, it's just been bad timing. I don't think Howe's got the luxury of kind of developing him whilst trying to fill those positions as well. I think 35 million to pay for him, 35 million, 40 million to pay for him in the summer will take a lot from our budget probably. So I'm not overly surprised that we might not take him on. And it frees up a lot more loan for another loan as well, if we wanted to.
That's true.
Look, I heard of Chelsea fans who are devastated he left, and they said he can play left wing. he's got Gareth
Yeah.
Bale type about him. And he had a cracking game at Old Trafford. And I'm telling you now, we don't sign him, I can guarantee we'll be on the show in 2 years' time or whenever it is, saying we should have signed him.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I think there's something there with him. With
No,
Lewis Hall, I really do.
Yeah,
but
there's a talented
again, we
player.
don't see what's happening in the training, do we? We
He
don't
might
know
want to
what.
go back to London as well. He might want to go back to London.
I don't think he does. He's a Newcastle
Okay.
fan. His dad's a massive Newcastle fan. The one thing that if Hall sees himself as a left forward, he's screwed because there's already 2 players in that position, like you mentioned. It's. I think Eddie Howe's brought him in and said, right, well, we've got cover in that area. We don't really need you there. We need a left back. Can you adapt yourself to be a left back and then maybe be pushed up later on when we need you potentially? And it might not be working out.
No.
So there is a reason. We just don't know what it is. That's the problem. Right. Some of the information I did hear very early on from someone I trust, they said that we will sign a loan player from the Saudi league. Now, I know this is, and it's not Neves though, apparently, because Neves is doing too well for his club. So I'm going Mitrovic. I would love to see Firmino because he seems to be unsettled there. I have put the tweet out there saying who would take him. I think Firmino would be someone who would work very well on the right-hand side for our front three. There is a few other players in the Saudi league who, I mean, Benzema, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? But Gary, if you would sign one player from the Saudi league on loan for 6 months, who would it be for you? Mane is another great one. Who would you go for? I still think Firmino is a great shout because I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
We're definitely not getting Conor Gallagher. Definitely not.
I know the player. I know the player I would pick. But I don't know if it's necessarily what we need right now.
Mahrez is
and
a
that's
good shout as well.
Gabri Veiga.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
You said him last time, I think, if I remember.
Yeah.
But Mahrez isn't a bad shout for the right-hand side, is it, though, when you think about it? I forgot about Mahrez being there.
I'll throw a name out there as well, Jota.
Yeah.
Used to play for Celtic. He's a winger. Apparently he's a bit unsettled over there. So that possibly might be something. Mitrovic.
Yeah, Mitrovic would be great as a striker, definitely. He'd be fighting, and then that could then release Gordon on the right, Isak on the left.
I'd go Gabri Veiga purely based on the fact that I think he is talented. And I think if we do get some...
he went there.
Oh, so was that. I think there's look, I wouldn't be surprised if that was one that the owners did. Look, come play for us for a year and you'll go and play in the Premier League in 2 years. Yeah, and we'll transfer you to our club. That's what I'm thinking. That one.
He can play in the 6 and 8. He'll probably play in the 6 for us. Bruno will push up to the 8. Young, hungry. Would be a good player.
That's funny. Martin comes out. Mahrez is decent, but he's all left-footed. You have watched Miggy, though, haven't you? At least Mahrez could score 10, 15 goals a season from that right-hand side. So
Caitlin and Nick have said St. Maxima.
Yeah, get Maxi back. Yeah, I mean that is one that a lot of Newcastle fans would be on, but the amount of I can't ever see that happening again. Mitrovic has scored 16 or something stupid like that.
Don't be surprised if it might be a goalkeeper, man.
Well, is there any decent goalkeepers out there?
I know Mendy's over there. I know Mendy's over there. Possibly a centre back, Koulibaly. I'm not saying I would have them, but just the names. Koulibaly's over there. Mendy is Kepa. No, not Kepa. Somebody else.
Goalkeepers, you've got Jacob Rini, Victor Braga, and Martin Kapani are the 3 best goalkeepers in the Saudi League at the moment. They're all averaging 7.4 to 7.3. They're the 3 goalkeepers that are at top of the list. Paulo Victor's there. Don't know him much. Ayman Dayman. He obviously must be a Saudi-born player. Sung Ji Kim. Mendy, definitely there. Edward Mendy. What's his age now, though?
Oh, I forgot
31. Not that bad. I'm not going down the
right wing. No problem with me.
I'm definitely not going down the Ronaldo conversation. He definitely doesn't have the legs to play in our league anymore, does he? Not the way we play the high intensity football. So, Only possible loan from Sarri is Firmino, as he's not playing. The others are going nowhere. That's why I said Firmino would be, I think, is the most realistic one.
Why is he not
Jota
playing?
can't play in Saudi. You can only have so many foreign players, and he's been left out of the squad. They're trying to get him on loan. There you go.
There
So
you
there's
go.
that's it. So
Where does
it could
Jota play?
be
I don't know
him.
too much about him. Where does he play?
He used to
I
play
don't know.
for Celtic.
No,
Yeah.
where does he play? What position does he play?
He's left wing or right wing, I think. He's a winger.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but
If he's
I'm
right wing,
sure.
then it makes sense. It make a lot more sense.
Hugo Lloris just signed for US. I'd never wanted Hugo Lloris.
Oh,
Not
we
after
finished him.
put 5
We
past him.
finished, obviously, with him. I've never seen him the same since that game.
Yeah, absolutely agree. There's another rumor going around at the moment. I don't know how true this one is, but Real Madrid's Ukrainian 24-year-old goalkeeper Andrei Lunin, he was under contract until 2025. We are apparently monitoring the situation for him. So I don't know anything about him.
What about the Georgian keeper? Has he not been mentioned? I don't know much about the Ukrainian goalkeeper either.
We've mentioned him, but we can't pronounce his name.
Mamashkevili, I think. Mamashkevili.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
That was probably just normal journalists jumping on a story, that one. I heard we've been watching him, but there's been nothing like saying, yep, he's definitely coming.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's funny because me and Baz heard this about a year ago, that the club are putting fake names out, to get people away from the people they're really after. So when you keep seeing a name, i.e. Calvin Phillips, they're really looking at somebody else. They're looking at somebody else.
They admitted to that with Barella and Tonali. They did it with Neves as well.
Yeah.
Luke Edwards was all vexed about it, obviously, understandably so. Sent on Twitter that he thought that he was being used. So
he got the wrong Italian, because they gave him the wrong information. He got the wrong Milan and wrong, and he was. I remember he was convinced Barella was signing that. I was in the shop when I read it at the time and closed in on Barella, and I thought, "Whoa!" And then all of a sudden, now we're not in for him, and then 4 days later, we're signing Tonali, and I thought, "There you go."
Yeah. Well, we heard Tonali very early on, didn't we? And there was an Italian in the know account on Twitter broke.
Oh yeah, he got it.
We were all over it.
Yeah,
it's the only one he's ever got right. But there you go. Right, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please go over to Toon Tactics TV and also subscribe to his channel as well. Don't forget about our amazing sponsors, Diet Crow. If you need a t-shirt or anything to do with Newcastle, they're an amazing little company. The link is in the description, and everyone gets 20% off using Baz20. So please consider it. And Benfield are playing the Mackhams. They beat them 7-1 in the first fixture away from home. So please get down to Benfield and support them and see if they can smash 7 past them again. That would be absolutely amazing. Let's talk about Dominic Solanke, because he is having his peak, I guess. He's 26 now. He scored 12 goals. He's got 1 assist in 18 Premier League games this season. That is good form. But is it Newcastle form? Is it where we want to be going, Philip? For me, Dominic Solanke is an Eddie Howe because he signed him at Bournemouth signing.
I was about to say he's very much an Eddie Howe type of signing, isn't he? I was going to say probably the same profile, but a little bit more advanced in his experience to Hugo Ekitike. Big, strong, great first touch, and can play across the front three. Excellent link-up play. Would link up very well with Isak if you were to put Isak on the left. I don't think Isak likes being on the left too much, but if you could interchange with a Solanke, that would work. If we had someone on the right side that's pretty decent as well, he'll interchange with them as well. So I think he kind of reminds me of, and I'm not saying he's the same player, but in a various kind of form, almost like a Demba Ba, but not just obviously not as lethal. Maybe he's getting to that point a bit more lethal in front of goal. So that kind of player, I think that's what it sounds like. And obviously, again, similar profile to Calvert-Lewin as well, but not as good as in terms of headering ability. But his form and his prowess is growing. Personally, I'll be happy with Solanke, and I think it could be a good move.
Wow. See, I'm not sure. Gary, are you?
I'm not convinced. But people have told me that they are. And I've said numerous times, look, I said Craig Bellamy was a shit sign. So I don't really, you know what, it's like, and I don't know. I'm just like that. Solanke's a signing I would have made 2 years ago at the start of the takeover, where that would. I think he's a good player. I mean, is this like what we need to take with the next level?
I mean, if you
No,
think about
not for
Solanke,
me.
would Arsenal sign him? Would Chelsea sign him? Would Man
No.
United sign him? So then why are we
Tottenham-
thinking about
Man
signing him?
United,
Because we need to
Tottenham-
start looking.
Man United, but
Tottenham
then
might sign him.
Yeah,
Tottenham,
and
but
yeah, and I don't think that the top 6 guys at the moment are necessarily a reference place in terms of good signings at the moment. I mean, Højlund's a good player, but he's just scored his first goal the other day. I know that he's top goal scorer in Champions League. Chelsea crying out for a forward.
So we've got one. He's just come back from injury, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's in a bit of bother. He's not doing that well. Nicholas Jackson, look at him. And so I don't know. I think
the other one, Menkuku or whatever you call him, he's just come back from
Nkuku,
injury.
yeah,
Scored.
he's the
yeah. So he's the big one for them, isn't he?
Yeah, and it all depends on what you want from your striker. You know, obviously goals would be the number one thing, but to me, it sounds like Solanke has a lot of attributes in terms of what we want going forward. So I don't know. I think it'd be a good signing.
The mighty Wayne agrees with you. I'm just not 100% sure whether that's where we should be going. Personally, I don't know.
He's a good player, but I don't think. Do we actually play to his strength?
Yeah, 100%.
Do we?
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Look, from what I've seen of him, right? I don't know, right? But like I said, I do get stuff wrong now. But I just think for £45 million, I think we'll go into Europe
I'll tell you
somewhere.
what could happen.
Get a better player for
thought popped in my head. Wilson and Solanke. Swapping over.
Richie, maybe. Richie
Wilson
and
go back to Bournemouth.
Possibly,
I think Richie's going to retire at the end of the season, to be honest with you. I can't see him going to Bournemouth. But Wilson going back to Bournemouth, Solanke coming this way, might bring the fee down to maybe 30 million, 25, 30 million. They get Wilson. That could be a decent swap. He'd be back up for Isak. And then Isak can also play on the left or on the right sometimes, and Solanke up front. So
I think you have Solanke up, Isak on the left, Gordon on the right. That's a good front three. That's a mobile, powerful, intelligent, athletic front three that can press from the front, that can link up play, and bring our midfield in together with them. That'd be a really, really good front three, in my opinion.
I have heard a name mentioned that we will be interested in, but look, it's very unlikely we'll get him, right? But his release clause is freaking ridiculous in this one. Frimpong.
Ah, yes, I've heard that name before.
Scored.
Yeah, you're right.
He's assisted 9. He's a fullback, or like plays on the right. He's assisted about 9 goals this season. He scored about 7, and he's going for 40 million in the summer.
Is that it?
Now I'm telling you what, Newcastle should be all over that. Whether they get him or not is beyond me. Probably not.
He plays
right, because you'd probably end up at a Man City, Liverpool, or whatever. But I'm telling you now, what a player he is. And for the fee he is, I know they'll be interested. That's for certain. And I've heard his name mentioned.
He plays on the right as well, don't he? Because right and centre, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's absolutely lightning quick. Like lightning. I mean, you think Elanga's quick, watch him. And but he can score and assist at the same time. He's absolutely perfect for any team.
So we've got to be getting our name in the hat for him then.
Oh, look, there should be.
40 million, it sounds like it should be.
The problem is he'll probably end up in a Champions League club. He's that good, right? He's one of those, but we should.
The thing with Frimpong, though, we might have a chance is obviously he had a rough experience at Arsenal where Arteta just didn't value him. Imagine Arteta valued Nketiah more than him. He might learn from that and say, I could go to a Champions League Cup, but am I going to have a repeat of what happened at Arsenal? Now, obviously, he's going to back himself. He did back himself and say, look, he'll back himself wherever club he goes to. But if he goes to Newcastle, there's a slot waiting for him to be the first teamer, pretty much so. I mean, if you can't beat a Murphy and Almiron, then you're just not a Premier League player. So if he looks at it that way, but at the same time, I wouldn't want Newcastle to be. It's not a stepping stone. It's you're or here to be
we're not a
Champions
stepping
League
stone
player.
anymore. We're not a selling
So
club, are we? So
yeah, so it's on him to say. But I think that
I
we
agree
would
with
have a
that.
chance.
Hey, Man City have just put it on. Look.
Oh.
There you go. I
Great.
told you, he's one of those that
It's over, innit?
it's
Over.
probably well out of our grasp, but we should be interested.
Another one to
Absolutely,
let go far
100%.
too soon as
And
well.
but he will probably end up somewhere top. But I mean, I think it's 40 million. I heard release club
40 million is
is
nothing,
nothing
really,
in
when
a
you think
day's game.
about it.
I mean, when we're on about 45 for Solanke, you know, I know they're
Yeah.
different players, but this is the Premier League tax, and
Mhm.
it's just I don't know. It's just regarding Solanke, I do think he's a good player, but
I would love
I'm not
Saka.
convinced. But
Yeah.
but
We'll see.
hey,
Two
what
more
about that?
names to go through before we go, because I don't want to keep this too much more longer, and we've been going an hour. Arsenal's Emile Smith-Rowe has come up quite a few times. Again, another Eddie Howe signing, someone who does it in the Premier League. Again, attacking midfielder, can play out on the left. It's that left-hand side again, which we don't really need. This has come from the Athletics, so take it with a pinch of salt. I like Smith-Rowe. I thought he was brilliant until Odegaard took his place. As an attacking midfielder, someone through the middle who was clever. But could you see us signing him, Philip? And could he actually fit into the Newcastle team, to be fair, is the other thing you've got to think about.
He can. I think he's an Eddie Howe obviously signing, but also obviously through the middle. I think, and I'm not saying he is this player, obviously, but I think this is what they're thinking about in terms of when we're looking at Maddison. So I think if they get Emile Smith-Rowe, we slightly change our formation of how we play. So no longer we just got CMs. I think if you get Emile Smith-Rowe as an attacking who he is an AM, an attacking midfielder, you need more of a specialized DM as well. So I think we will change a little bit how we play. It gives us another option. The only concern I would have is around injuries, but also his confidence. I saw him. Obviously, it's not a good sample, but I saw him the last 10 minutes against West Ham. He wasn't looking. And I don't blame him. He hasn't been playing, but he wasn't looking very well. But at the same time, you put someone like that, for instance, for West Ham, and you just start seeing how good they are. So I wouldn't mind him. I think him. But then it would essentially be, you could have Calvin Phillips, Bruno, and Emile Smith-Rowe, a lot more potent, a lot more creative, a lot more mobile, a lot more strong in terms of our midfield. It would make a lot of sense. Sometimes we don't have that, and somebody that's willing to put that ball to break the lines. I think Emile Smith-Rowe will be willing to do that again with a great first touch. I think Howe wants to push Joe Linton up to left wing as well. Yes, he's great at midfield. He's been fabulous for us, but I think he wants to push him up as well. So that
frees up Gordon to go on the right and Barnes to be on the right as well, doesn't it? I mean, Willock can still play left and play left midfield as well. There's so many options when everyone's fit. They're just not fucking fit.
Exactly. So I think
frustrating.
It'll be a good option.
Yeah, I think it would be. Gary, I'm going to come to you for this next player because we've been talking about strikers. This is one that Liam's given us today, so I've only had a small chance to look at him. Marcus Leandro from Santos. Apparently, he's 20 million release clause or something like that. He's played nearly the full season. 31 times, started 30, scored 13. He's assisted 12. 4 out of 4 penalties. Only 3 yellow cards, which is not bad. His goal conversion rate is 16%. He's took 7 free kicks, not scored. Goals inside the box, all of them, out of 59. He's not scored outside the box of 21 efforts. He scored 2 headers, 4 left foot, 7 right foot, and he's won 1 penalty, so he can obviously score with both feet, which is great. And the lad's only 20. So is he someone that sounds like an Ashworth one, doesn't it, Gary? If that is true.
I don't know much about him. I'm always a fan of looking in Brazil for young players because we know they're brought up the way they are. And if 20 million, it's a gamble because you don't know. He might, Premier League might come, might hit him hard, and you've got a player that you've just bought, a young lad that suddenly he's got no confidence and he's gone in 2 years' time. Or you could have unleashed an absolute star that could, in 3 years' time, be your number 9 for the rest of Newcastle's time or whatever years there. Or he's a player that you sell for a lot of money to help with FFP. That helps the club grow even more. But it's a gamble. And like I said, his stats look all right, but you've got to remember where he's playing.
Yeah.
But I'm always a fan of over in South America, Argentina, Brazil, that type, and that definitely has Ashworth written all over it, whereas Smith Rowe's got Eddie Howe written all over it.
Oh, 100%. Fox just said before the Santos is a selling club and could be available in January. There we go. It's not like a broken record, I know, but scoring goals in the Prem is different, Groovy. It is, and I completely agree with that. But you've got to take a risk. I mean, Drogba didn't do it for a year, and then look at what he did for Chelsea after that.
Yeah, and that comment,
Marcus
last
Leandro,
comment. Santos was, that City was on fire. I don't know if you
Was,
saw the
wasn't
news
it?
reports. It was
I
on
did.
total fire. And I think it'd be interesting because if Newcastle get a Marcus Leandro type of player who's a future player, development player, probably will go under Wilson's wing for a little bit. You know, it's interesting that they'll buy, if they were to buy him now, that will let me know what they think about this current season, for instance. And so I think because the players that we're kind of thinking of, I think, would be players that we more or less would think would want to improve us now. Calvin Phillips, everybody else. Whereas Leandro is more for the future. But like you said, if he's available, yeah, I'm sure. But if we buy him, then again that eats into our FFP. But then again, how much is FFP a problem? There's a lot of, maybe it's not as big as we think it is. Maybe you can get a Leandro and whoever you want to buy on a permanent. Yeah, exactly.
If we sign him in January, FFP is not a problem.
Okay.
That's what I personally believe. I can't see us buying a young player.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know they've done it. Yeah, I know they've done it, but I can't see us buying a young player if we've got FFP issues right now. And so if we do buy him, that'll probably be a good thing for me. That means we're not having an FFP problem. But like I said, it's a gamble, and but sometimes they pay off. And if Ashworth likes him, then go for it.
It's going to be interesting. Right, last little segment. He was the last player to discuss. There are lots of other rumours out there. Some of them I'm not even giving the light of day because some of them are absolutely terrible and probably just names being thrown out there. But I want to know from you two, we'll start with Philip, 3 positions you want to see us strengthen in January if we can, and who are your 3 top picks to fill those positions?
Yeah, so goalkeeper, DM, and right wing. I think DM and goalkeeper are both number 1 priorities. If I think the Calvin Phillips deal, so long as if it's happening, as so long as nothing gets messed up, it frees us up in terms of we'll always get 1 permanent signing in the winter. So I think if we get Calvin Phillips on the free, in terms of a loan deal, not free, on a loan deal, I think we're going to get a permanent signing in the goalkeeping department. That's my view. And if there's
who's realistically going to be for the keeper though, who would you realistically
I think it's that Georgian lad. That's going to come through. Because there's no point in getting a decent centre back or sorting out our centre backs at the moment if they don't trust the goalkeeper. If the team doesn't trust the goalkeeper, we have to have a big goalkeeper with a big booming voice that's going to put that trust in the folks. And so I think that's a priority position in my view.
Very interesting. Who would you have for the right wing?
Me, I would look at
realistically, because I know we can just throw names out left, right, and centre. But who could we realistically sign in January? Which is the issue?
Mbeumo from Brentford.
Right. Yeah, I've always liked him.
I think he might have a bad injury.
All right, that's not good.
Could be wrong.
I hope not. If he doesn't have a bad injury, I think Mbuemo,
He's a good
big,
player, though.
strong, confident, can take a chance, can pass with his right foot if he needs to, can cut back, never gives up. He's an Eddie Howe signing again. But Mbuemo.
Right, Gary, who are your 3 positions and 3 players you want? Realistically.
Goalkeeper. Can't take them anymore. I don't think they'll buy anybody because I still think he likes Nick Pope. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a loan from Saudi or it's somebody like De Gea. Or a free transfer, somebody like that. We need a 6. It could be anybody. It could be anybody from, I mean, who do I think it'll be? Calvin Phillips. Who would I pick? Somebody like Kepler Turam, somebody like that. And I would go right wing. And I think the right wing could be maybe something from the Italian league or the Saudi league. Maybe Vega, maybe not Chiesa, not some, but something. I think that's where we might spend more money on, right wing.
Yeah.
I think that's where the budget might go. They're clearly trying to get Phillips on loan. They're clearly, if they do buy a goalkeeper, they're looking at Kasper Schmeichel, like you've heard, they have free transfers. So I think the money's going to be spent on somebody who can play right wing, but who can cover striker like Gordon can. And somebody who can do that job. I mean, who that is anybody's guess. It's probably somebody we've never heard of. Never been mentioned, but wouldn't be surprised somebody like that, probably from the Saudi League, Gabri Vega, somebody like that. But guess is as good as mine at the minute because that club's like a closed book.
That's a good question from Martin there, though. If Pope fit, does buying a number 1 goalkeeper put Pope in jeopardy? It does, and I think you've got to have that competition, and I think we need it.
I think they'll
if
do
Pope
that in the
hadn't
summer.
got injured, I don't think we would have bought a goalkeeper till the summer.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they might splash the money on the goalkeeper this month, but something's telling me that I think he does like Dubravka.
I think in terms of that last comment there, he's okay. I don't think Eddie Howe's overly bothered about the feet stuff. I think he just wants a keeper that is big, strong, can do what goalkeepers are meant to do, which is stop goals from going in, can take crosses and distribute it. He's not. So if, for instance, if Eddie Howe had a choice of buying David Raya or Nick Pope, he's getting Nick Pope. If he's got, that's obviously the ideal archetype goalkeeper is an Alisson, who's good with his feet and can shot stop. But he's a Rodri.
Very hard to find, isn't it?
You're not going to get guys like that. So, but ideally, his primary thing when Howe's looking at it, clean crosses, stop the ball from going in. If it comes to distributing the ball, use your feet. You don't want him to be overly clumsy, but that's what he wants mainly, and I don't disagree with him necessarily.
Actually, I've just thought of a name there. Go on. German league, 50 million release clause. Striker.
Oh, the striker.
Play wing, Gurasi or someone. Gurasi. Scoring goals for fun in the Bundesliga right now. 50 million release clause. That could be something.
The concern is that he might be a flash in the pan. That's the thing. Yeah,
he could.
It's the only season he's actually done it, isn't it? Is this season? So is he a Miggy with that purple patch? Is he a Solanke with his purple patch? We don't know. I'm not seeing enough of them to really say. To be fair, Alisson or Freaks, a goalkeeper who is good with his feet, isn't realistic criteria. It kind of.
I think they will buy a goalkeeper, but I think it'll be the same.
Yeah. I think it'll be the same. I honestly think the 3 positions are the same as what you're saying now. I wanted a striker badly, but now looking at what's happening, I think we need to strengthen in the areas you've said, right wing and midfield and in goal. I don't think there's a lot of money available for January. I think they're saving it for the summer. So I think they're going to keep the cards close to the chest. I think they'll go for De Gea for a 6-month, then maybe a year on top if he shows that he's good enough to stay. I think they'll get Phillips in on loan. And then I think they'll get Firmino on loan. And then we wouldn't have had to spend probably 20 million. Probably have to spend.
Yeah, but
between the three of them. And
Firmino's
that's three solid positions, isn't it?
But Firmino's not fit, I don't think, and that's the only thing. And I think if they do that, for instance, it lets me know that how they view this, because I think they have to get into Europe. We're 9th now, and we have to be at least.
We have to get in Europe, though. I don't think we do.
Yeah, I think we
I would
do
like
because
to.
we have to progress. I think if you're trying to get another exciting player, say another Isak type of player in whatever type of
But
position.
look at Chelsea. Chelsea aren't in Europe, and they're still buying all the hottest talent going around.
We're not Chelsea.
I know we're not Chelsea, but what I'm saying is
haven't-
like our projects should be sold even if we're not in Europe. And if you look at us last season, we didn't have European football. We brought in Trips, Pope, Bruno. We brought in Isak.
But that was our that was our first transfer window. We came over in a tide of we've just been taken over by the richest owners in the world that we've got, that any football club has got. And so there's a lot of promise. And obviously in the back of that, there was promise. We've got Champions League football. If we slide down to 8th, not even 8th, 9th positions that you can't get into Europe, that's not very promising. I think it's difficult to get the elite talent that you want if you're not getting into Europe, and young players are going to want to play in Europe.
I've got a feeling if he hadn't have been injured, Newcastle were 100% in for Neto at Wolves.
Right? Oh yeah, he would have been a signing, but he's obviously got hamstring issues.
Yeah, so I think there might have been. I actually agree with both of you, to be honest, because I think it's coming the day where I think you're right. I think the club and the Saudis are going to look and go, we need to progress. And at the minute, we're going back, right? But we're going back because of injuries and fatigue and stuff. And I don't think it's a massive issue this season. Next season it is. Because if we start badly next season, then all of a sudden the owners are going to look and go, no, this isn't part of the plan. We're now 3 years into a project and 3 seasons, or whatever it is. And now we've got to start progressing. I think you're right. I think whatever happens in January, you will find where this club want to go this season. If they buy Firmino, people like that, free transfers, then they just want to stabilise for the season. If they go out and spend money on a goalkeeper, right winger, whoever, they want European football.
The problem is if they stabilise, Brighton, Villa, all those other clubs, Tottenham already come back. They're not looking to stabilise. They're looking to progress. And if we just do patchwork stuff, we could be left behind so far back. We could go back another 2 years. I think that whatever plans they had in terms of
honestly, don't think that'll happen.
Villa,
Hear me out, right?
Let me just finish that because Villa are 4th. Tottenham are coming back. Chelsea aren't going to stay the same.
Tottenham just got battered 4-2 last night.
But they're coming back. They're top 4. They're top 4, and they battered us 4-1. And then so then we've also got Brighton. We've also got West Ham. West Ham are those slouches. People keep on sleeping on them.
Oh yeah,
they just there's a top 9 battle. Those teams are still going to play. They're still going to. If we do a patchwork job, we could set ourselves back another 18 months. No one's going to wait for Newcastle. Nobody's going to wait. They don't care. I think whatever plans they had in the summer, they might have to bring some of that forward. To be honest.
Right, hear me out. Last season, we had no European football. We finished 4th. Everyone expected last year to be the season where we stabilised, probably finished between 10th and 6th. Yeah, we overachieved. We got Champions League football, and this season we were nowhere near ready for it. Yeah. So now I think this season is turning into last season, what last season should have happened. Stabilisation. Getting everyone back fit again. Re-looking at what we can do next season. I think next season is a massive priority. Now, if you sell the project to a player saying, right, next season, we're going for it. We're only going to be playing once a week. We're going for top 4. We're going for the cups. It's all we have to worry about. Don't have to worry about playing on a Thursday night. Don't have to worry about playing on a Tuesday night. Don't have to worry about playing on a Wednesday night. And playing week in, 2 weeks, every game. We can then attack, which is what Chelsea should have done this year, if they'd been able to do it, is attack the league next season with no distractions. And I've said this a lot of times when we first took over. Forget about going for top 4. Build your squad so you can go for the league first. Sod Champions League football. Win the Premier League before you get Champions League football. And we could do that next season if we're clever enough in the summer with the Adidas deal, with no European football, we can go, right, let's buy a team and players who can win this league for us next season. I know it's a pipe dream, but that's how I would be looking at it now. If we don't get European football, I don't think it's such a big miss. And there's a chance for the following season to really hammer those teams who will be struggling with fatigue, and we won't be, because we'll have those less games. We will be fit as we were last season, and we will be able to put that to bed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they started off building a squad. However, I don't look at it necessarily as an overachievement. I think we got what we got because we deserve to. We battered.
Oh, we definitely deserved it.
The goals.
We all said we all said.
Yeah, but we are.
We all said at the start of the season we would
Yeah.
be happy with between 10th and 6th. We didn't expect Champions League football.
I didn't. I would have
Really?
never been happy. No, I didn't say I was happy with.
At the start of last season.
Not with 10th. I was looking at us. My predictions was we'll probably get top 8, and it'd be very good if we can compete with the guys at the top 6. And obviously we've got 4th.
6th and 10th.
Yeah, but it's not. But I don't think the owners or ourselves. If you listen to what the owner said, he wasn't fussed that we got the 4th. I don't think we can just say, "Oh, but we're not worthy of 4th position. We didn't expect to be here. You're here." No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. I don't think the owners view it as that. I don't think they view it as we were lucky to get 4th and we're not going to do. Let's just stabilize the season, let it go. Because Villa don't care, Brighton don't care, Arsenal don't care. They don't care that we're waiting to stabilize. They're looking to progress. Arsenal didn't expect to be in the Champions League the year before. We all called them bottlers, so they had to step it up. Then they ended up competing for the Premier League. Didn't expect to be, and so we called them bottlers when they didn't get it. This year they have to win the Premier League, but they can't say, "Oh, but we didn't expect to be here fighting for the Premier League." No one's buying that. Go buy Declan Rice for 100 million and go do that. I don't think Newcastle can say, we didn't expect to be here, so if we finish outside of Europe, it's where we belong to. That's not a selling point. It's not Newcastle anymore. We have to step up. We have to compete for Champions League, or at least be seen to be competing for Champions League. We can't be a team that's...
I think we will. We will for the rest of the season. We will do that. But what I'm saying is that where the season's gone up to now, with all the injuries, we're still not getting the injuries back until the end of February.
Yeah,
we've got really tough fixtures coming up. We could be out of sight of top 4.
Yeah.
So I would rather forget about finishing 5th, 6th, or 7th if they're still the European places on a Thursday night, because I don't want to be playing on Thursday night. That's my issue.
I do.
For next season.
I do.
I don't.
100%.
I don't think the big players come to us thinking I'm going to be playing on Thursday night.
We're not going to get the big players, but we want to get talented players. We want to get the best, and the talented players want to play in Europe. We have to play in Europe. It's a must.
Yeah, but the promise of Europe the next season could be the driving force, like it was for Bruno.
Yeah, but then why live on a promise if you can get a team that's already in Europe? Brighton. What if Brighton get into Europe? What if Villa get into Europe? What if all those other teams get into Europe, and we're all trying to attract the same type of players? Instead of us saying, "Oh, we could promise you Europe," we could be saying, "We are in Europe. Would you like to join us?" But if we're competing with Aston Villa, who are in Champions League, we're going to lose, and that just sets us back. What if Aston Villa get an Isak? What if Aston Villa get a Bruno because they're in the Champions League and we don't get those players? We're in trouble.
All ifs and buts, though, isn't it? It's all ifs and buts. I just think with our stadium, with our money, with the players we've got now, with our ownership, selling the project like they do, they bring Alan Shearer in, they bring Ginola in, they talk about the club and the history and all this sort of stuff.
Not when you're sitting 12th. Not if you finish 12th.
I'm not saying we're going to finish 12th. I'm just saying if we just finish outside of those European places, if we finish 8th, that's not a European place.
Yeah,
I still think we can attract the players. They'll see the injuries. You can see why we're struggling this year.
Players don't care.
And I think
they won't care. They won't care. They won't care. Emil Smith-Rowe won't care about how many injuries.
But Emil Smith-Rowe sitting on the bench, is he?
You'd have to be from Newcastle to do that. Hugo Ekitike won't care. We can already see that he won't care. And there's all these other players. They want to know, can my ambitions be matched here? I'm 21 years old. I'm in the international team. I'm talented. I've got 3 or 4 clubs looking at me. Say, for instance, Villa, Brighton, Arsenal. And I've got Champions League, and I've got here Newcastle sitting in 8th position, promising me that maybe this year we'll get into Europe. I'm going to go to those other clubs. I would. And so we
Potentially.
have to show that we mean business. I think this summer we can't buy free. We can't get free loan guys. We can't get a crocked Firmino and the other players to show that we're serious. We have to.
Chelsea. The way I see it, Chelsea is still able to do it. I don't see why Newcastle can't do that because Chelsea aren't going to get Europe this season either.
We've got to do what
I wouldn't put that past them. They might.
I would.
They might.
We've got to do what Liverpool
I wouldn't put
did.
it past them, but I can't see it. Go on, what did Liverpool?
Liverpool last season. Liverpool last season screwed that season up. Klopp said, "I'm not letting that happen again."
Yeah.
And he bought a full midfield. And why did he do it? Because Newcastle broke into the top four.
Yeah.
And he went, "I'm not letting that happen again." We're coming to the stage now where at some point we're going to have to say, right, it's time to lift off a bit, right? And we've got injuries. I think this season, I agree in a way. European football is, are we going to get it this year? I've got no idea. I'm not very confident at the minute, but do I want European football? Yes, I do. But come next season's the year where the excuses and this go out.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I just
none
think
of that. Yeah.
if we're not going to get Champions League, let's not, unless it's Europa, but not the conference.
And I've said this time again. We at some point we have to buy a player who's not good for a dressing room, who's a bit this, who's a bit that. But what that man has got is talent coming from every frigging part of his body, right? And basically, he's the signing we make. Whoa, shit! And the rest of the world got, yep, here they go. It's time to lift off. And we still haven't got that player yet. But I get why.
Nope.
But at some point, they're going to have to do it. And that player comes in, and then all of a sudden, the rest of the players can. Oh, he's went there, and it's one of those. But it like I said, it's been an up and down season so far.
It's been mixed. It's been mixed.
We have been. I mean, I wonder-achieving. Yeah, we probably are. We're ninth in the league. And did the owners have a plan of a 5-year project? Yes, they did. Did they have a plan to be lower?
Open and honest.
Yeah. Did they have a plan? What was their plan this year? Well, put it this way: I don't think the owners' plan this year was to finish 10th. Right? I don't think that would have been in their head. And that's where we are at the minute. We're going to be possibly bottom half by the time we play Villa, or by the time the Villa game's over. I'm just being realistic here.
No, it could easily happen.
So you've got to look at it as right. Look, I think, agreeing on this, I think we've got 1 year left of Bruno, right? If we start badly next season, or we come to January, Bruno might go, nah, I need something else.
If we finish 10th, he's going in the summer. If we don't finish in Europe, you're Bruno. Real Madrid are whispering in your ear. Barcelona whispering in your ear. You got £100 million release. It's there in black and white. There's £100 release.
Well, there's the last question for the night, right?
Yeah.
He's put it there for a reason.
Would you sacrifice Bruno? Would you sacrifice Bruno in the summer for 110 million, which then gives you 500 million FFP, and then it allows you to attack the summer?
Depends for what. Hopefully not rescue the summer. If we finish 10th, we'll have no choice but to sell Bruno.
If we finish say 7th, we're in the Europa Conference. Real Madrid come knocking. They then trigger the release clause for 110 million. It's bye Bruno. But think of what I always try and sit on the fence with things when I'm doing this. I would hate Bruno to leave, by the way. I'm going to sit on the fence as someone who does the show.
Yeah,
Bruno would release 500 million of FFP.
West Ham sold Declan Rice, the ball, Alvarez, Kudos, and Prowse. So yes, it makes sense. But I don't want to be West Ham. I don't think these owners want to be West Ham. The guy Ryan was very, very clear. Number one. That's all what he wants to be. He wasn't. When the presenter was like, the presenter said to him, "Aren't you amazed that we're in the Champions League?" He was expecting the owner to be like, "Yeah, I can't believe it. We're here." He said, I gave him the right resources, so why should I be surprised that we're here? That's what he said.
Yeah, 100%.
He's not
100% right.
He's
there,
not giddy. Mate. He's not giddy about it. You come to him and say, we finished 8th this year, but I'm sure we'll do Europe next year. He's not hearing that. I'm sorry, he's not hearing that. I can see in his eyes there's going to be heads rolling. This is a different. This is this is. I think at the moment, I think the way Amanda and Ruben have got everybody thinking they're soft and cuddly people. Then they're very personable, but heads will roll because they're not allowing their heads to roll. They got a management contract, which means that contract could be terminated. They are minority shareholders, and if Newcastle finish 8th, 9th, God help them if they're in the bottom half of the league, you're going to see a whole turnaround. So they have
I think what they've got to be careful of is they did say in the documentary, we all heard it clearly, and we all saw it to the owners, there will be a drop-off this year because that's what happens when you get Europe for the first time. First time in 20 years we're being in the Champions League. We weren't used to it. You could say we were underprepared, but we probably were prepared until all the injuries. I think the owners will see this as a bad season, but they would expect a hell of a lot better next season. 100%. And I think the Saudi owners need Jamie Rubin, they need Amanda, they need Medad, because the way they communicate with the fans is something we've been missing for a long time. And if they get rid of them and bring in a closed shop again, I think that'll be very bad for their image.
No, they'll get rid of Eddie Howe first. That's what would happen.
We'll
That's
probably
how it's
get rid of
gonna
Eddie
go.
Howe
It's
first,
going to get rid of
potentially,
yeah.
Okay. The manager always gets the sack, doesn't he?
There's no doubt. Look, Jamie and everybody, they all love Eddie, but the Saudis are different, right? Whether it's boxing, golf, you name it, they want to be number one.
Yeah.
They bought Newcastle to be number one. Even Simon Jordan said that on TalkSport. Souness has said it numerous times. He says they didn't buy Newcastle to sit mid-table.
No.
He says they bought Newcastle to be number one, and he says you need to get used to that. And the amount of people who come out and say that Eddie Howe's not the man to take Newcastle at the next level, and it's not the fans, it's Jordan and all these lots saying it, right? Yeah. It's a massive season next season for Eddie Howe and these players in the club, because the Saudis will act next season, big time, if it's not going right. 100%. Now, what they do this season, I don't know. We'll see in January, because
I think they have to bring the summer forward. Whatever money they had in the summer, they're gonna have to bring it into this winter, and they're gonna have to be quite coy about it how they do it. But I think they're gonna have to push it forward. They're gonna have to, to rescue this season.
What they're going to have to say is, if they do bring the summer forward, they're going to have to say in January, look, we're still going for Champions League. We need everybody 100%. To come together and go for it. Right? 100%. That's what they have to do.
100%.
And if they do it that way, because that's how you're going to get the players. The Frimpons, you name it, they're all going to go Champions League.
Is Bruno our next Andy Cole? One that breaks the fan base, but then frees up for something bigger to happen.
Look, because of this FFP nonsense and crap, right? I don't know. If we're in crap as much as they say we're FFP, then a big player might have to leave at some point for us to go to the next level. I think it's bollocks. You know what I think? FFP, I think it's the biggest frigging pile of crap in the world. And it's just
some more information in the group. This shines a bit of light on Lewis Hall if it's true. I've been told Hall turns up for training 50% late at times, being fined loads, and isn't a good trainer. But there's got to be something in the loan agreement about certain number of appearances must activate the obligation. And then another thing about this, I hope that's not true. I really do, because I didn't think he'd be that kind of person, to be honest with you. And then the other thing, which is very interesting about the Saudi League, I can't say I signed any Saudi League players. In Saudi, if you work there for 2 years, you get your wages 100% tax-free.
Yeah.
Which means if a player comes on loan, would that then stop tax being free potentially? That could be another reason why we won't sign anyone from the Saudi League. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo leaves the Saudi League after his 2 years are up and he's got his 100% wages and he goes somewhere else. That's been a great chat, guys. I've got to end it there because we have been going on far too. I apologise for keeping these on so long, but it's literally just kept on going and going. It's been a very interesting adult debate, which is what we always like to have on here. It's been great. It's been a great adult debate.
There's someone from Sunderland that want to be number one, but
yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? This is it. Newcastle will do well 100%, but everyone wants to be. Well, of course, everyone wants to be number one. And only one can be number one, and we just like to be number one once. It's all we want, just once. Stephen, you know I enjoy you being in this channel, but mate, you're looking into it far too much. The mods do their job correctly. I don't know what's been going on, but to be honest with you, mate, don't look into it too much, man. It's just a show at the end of the day. Again, everyone, hit the likes, hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed the crack tonight. We will do this again at some point in January, but I don't want to do it too much because that's all other channels do, is do transfer shows all the time. And let's face it, there's no information being leaked apart from the ifs and buts and potential little rumours that are going on. We will talk about them. We'll talk about who we would like, and we'll talk about any of the latest rumours for you, but we're not going to be doing this every day. It's something that needs to be done once every maybe 2 weeks. But we'll definitely do one in January when the transfer window opens, and we'll see what happens. Don't forget to subscribe to both channels, Toon Tactics TV and obviously Through Black and White Eyes. That'd be amazing. Hit the thumbs up. Don't forget, memberships are open. Please consider becoming a member because that's how we get our prizes out to you guys. And don't forget about our amazing sponsors, Diet Crow. Code BAZ20 to get 20% off. The T-shirts are amazing, especially the Mackham Slayer one. Get that for the Derby Day. And yeah, don't forget about Benfield as well, who were playing Sunderland, RAC. They smashed them 7-1 away from home. So hopefully they can do it again at home. And thanks to everyone in the chat who have kept everything going. Some great questions in there. I hope we've answered everyone. So I apologise if we haven't. There's been a lot of years flying in questions. But like I say, it's been a great chat. And I'll see you Friday night. I think my next one is. Take care till then.
Take care, guys.